In the middle of September 2015, Peter and I sailed from Woodbridge, Suffolk, on the east coast of England to the Swale in Kent, and then into the River Medway to Chatham, then took the ebb to Queensborough for the night, then took the flood up the River Thames to London, and stayed the night at Limehouse Marina. Then the next day back to Queensborough on the ebb, and next morning took the ebb across the Thames estuary to Shotley Marina by Harwich, and left her storm-bound for a few days. Then back to Woodbridge. Woodbridge is a lovely market town with 1100 years of recorded history and 4,500 years of archaeological history. It lies about 8 miles up the River Deben on the east coast of England and home to about 11,000 souls. A trading port and centre of shipbuilding for hundreds of years, but now no more. The Woodbridge tide mill has worked for over 800 years, harnessing the predictable tides to drive a mill producing flour and animal feed. This was the last commercially working tide mill in the UK, and it has now been restored to working order. The tide mill yacht harbour is conveniently close to town, and you can walk to the pub and shops and to the railway station to connect to London, the UK and Europe. Richard Kember developed the marina from a 20-boat mud hole in 1985 into one of the premier marinas on the east coast. Transients pay under £1 a foot, or about €1 or $1 US a foot, and $4 for power a day. As the River Deben shrinks at low tide, the marina has a concrete sill to keep residents afloat, with access to the river a few hours each side of high water. A tide gauge at the entrance measures the amount of water over the sill. The East Coast yachts are designed for shallow water and able to sit upright on the mud. Peter Sitka is a 44-year-old Albin Vega 27-footer that has taken us all over the south coast of England, France, Holland, Germany and Denmark on the Baltic Sea. An excellent little seaboat that has looked after us well through fair and foul weather.
Is this a video?
Yep, video. Off to the pub. Thanks to Peter, the crew never goes hungry or thirsty or lacks for conversation. On the opposite shore from the marina is Sutton Hoo. 1,400 years ago, King Raedwall of the East Angles was buried in his 90-foot ship with his gold and luxury goods to provide comforts in the afterlife. In 1938-39, Basil Brown robbed the graves, which became famous throughout the world. Oh, it's better from this side. You can read it better from this side.
Just.
Not much help though. Looking at Woodbridge foreshore with the conspicuous white building of the tide mill. Coming up to Loder's Cut. In the latter part of the 19th century, John Loder, a respected Woodbridge bookseller, lost a libel case and had £100 damages awarded against him. The townsfolk thought that he was hard done by and had a whip round raising £250. How deep is it?
1.9.
Right, 1.9 metres. But it saves going all the way round the bend there. John Loder felt he could not take the money, so in 1879 spent it on his pet project, to dig a cut across the mudflats, taking out a troublesome bend in the river, which was too narrow to beat into a headwind, so delaying trading ships' access to Woodbridge. Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies, farewell and adieu you ladies of Spain. We've received our orders to sail for old England, but we hope in a short time to see you again. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors, we'll rant and we'll roar all on the salt sea, until we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. We hove our ships to with the wind from the southwest, we hove our ships to deep soundings to take. 'Twas 45 fathoms with a white sandy bottom, so we squared our main yard and up channel did make. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors, we'll rant and we'll roar all on the salt sea, until we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. The first land we sighted was called the Dodman, the Ramehead of Plymouth, of Portsmouth the White. We sailed by Beachy, by Fairlight and Dover, and then we bore up for the Southforeland Light. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors, we'll rant and we'll roar all on the salt sea, until we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. Then the signal was made for the Grand Fleet to anchor, and all in the Downs that night for to lie. Let go your shank painter, let go your cat stopper, haul up your clew garnets, let tacks and sheets fly. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors, we'll rant and we'll roar on all the salt sea, until we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. Now let every man drink of his full bumper, now let every man drink of his full glass. We'll drink and be jolly and drown melancholy, and here's to the health of each true-hearted lass. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors, we'll rant and we'll roar all on the salt sea, until we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues.
Now look at that. Thank you, Peter. A lot of wind still.
Here we are leaving the horse sand bank to starboard. When it is covered, like now, then you know there is usually 6 foot of water over the entrance bar. A seasonal ferry for foot passengers and bicycles across the River Deben provides continuity for the Suffolk Coast Path and regional cycle route 41. From the mist of time, small boats ferried passengers across the Deben here. In 1894, Sir William Quilter, owner of Bawdsey Manor, established a steam-drawn chain ferry, which the family owned until 1931. On the 24th of September 1937, RAF Bawdsey became the first fully operational radar station in the world. This was only just over 18 months after the first experiment, conducted by Robert Watson Watt and Arnold Wilkins, established that by using transmitted radio waves it was possible to detect an approaching aircraft. The Deben Bar should not be approached in conditions of strong onshore winds or heavy seas, as it is a mass of breakers. Even in benign conditions like today, the ebb can obtain rates of 6 knots out of the entrance, making entry impossible. This Martello Tower is one of 103 brick forts built around 1810 to resist a potential invasion by Napoleon. Now a family home, the walls are 13 feet thick, which makes it tricky to knock through for a new window. A new chart was drawn for the Deben River entrance based on the Trinity House surveys done during March 2015. The chart was then redrawn in May based on a second survey which showed significant changes from the March version. Shingle moves pretty much every winter. They have to buoy the channel again. They do a marvellous job issuing the new route, which you can download off the net now for the new entrance. The water just here can get really, really boiling and turbulent. As a general rule for a 6-foot draft vessel, 3 hours before high water till about 2 hours after high water is usually a safe period. There's one yacht on the... Don't want to go on there. We've had a north wind, offshore wind recently, so the bar's really benign today. I don't think I've seen it so flat for a long time. Very peaceful. Martello Tower. Beach huts. So here's the bar. Leave the green to port, the red to starboard. And then keep the other 2 reds in transit until you're up to the Haven buoy out there. That's the bar. Been through here with 6-foot waves. The harbour master suggests passing each buoy on its correct side 25 yards away. Getting bumped up and down a bit now. That's Bordsey Manor, the shallowest bit. Ferry coming out of Felixstowe. Keep quite close to this buoy. See the tide ripping out. Now Peter will put the helm over. Steer for that one. Ahead. Very peaceful today. Near the bar there is often a strong cross current, so it is important to regularly check the back bearing of the mark behind to keep on course.
Very calm.